believe one of his buddies is in the chat, Mr. TW King. I think said that he's Richley's friend, so maybe he can tell us what the race is.
I guess we'll find out in just a moment. It's all good. We're in the game, so...
That's true. There's even a delay, so he can't tell us immediately.
Zerg, so we are going to have a TBZ, which is really cool.
Nice.
Probably the fan favorite matchup, I guess, so this should be a lot of fun.
I was about to ask them if it's first game, but too late for that now.
It is, they've just banned maps, so...
Ah, yes, of course.
Okay,
Perfect.
and spawning to start us off in the... Oh, okay, this isn't good. Spawning to start us off in the top left position, we do have the Teal Terran, iFU.Cryoc.
And at the bottom left is the red Zerg will be Richley RRF. So yeah, basically in the Zotac Global Cup that happened yesterday morning, which was well, I mean, as the name suggests, it was an open tournament for all regions. There were several Koreans participating with the RRF tag, and one of them was Richley. I don't think he got past the quarterfinals or something like that, but yeah, it was pretty cool to see that, and it'll be interesting to see how he does against Cryoc here. Cryoc, by the way, this morning he played in the Rust Brain Cup and he beat DeWalt 2-1.
Nicely done, Cryoc.
Cryoc is insanely good right now. I didn't even realize he got this good.
Yeah, he's been playing in a lot of tournaments recently, which I think will really help.
Yep.
I
I still remember the good old days, man, when he was like a B- C+ player on IC Cup. Dude, I'm gonna like hold this over him for the rest of his days, but I got B- for the first time by beating Cryoc in like 2 or 3 games on ladder. Oh
That's
yeah.
kind of cool. Looks like Richley is using the lava trick quite a lot here. He's done it twice now in this game, so that's pretty cool. One thing, just while the game is first starting up, there is still some codes left to use. So if you do go to Maturino, if you do !Maturino in mine or sales chat, it will link you. If you put the code that's in the overlay into the donation screen, it will donate a free $1 prize to the actual prize pool. So please do that. Maturino have been kind enough to supply me with that. So of course, thanks to them as well.
Yay, Maturino! It's like got a 12-patch action here from Mr. Richley.
And it looks like we're going to have Cryoc going for a 1-Rex expand as well. Not doing any form of 1-1-1 shenanigans today.
Yeah, Cryoc seems to be a pretty standard player. Yeah, we saw him... Wait, didn't we see him play against, like, Eon Zerg or someone recently? He definitely played a TBZ that we casted and was kind of complaining about stuff.
Yeah, I think it was definitely the Eon Zerg or one of the other good Zerg players, because he complained about how Terran is really easy to play when he lost.
Oh, man. It's quite funny, because DeWalt streamed his games against Cryoc, and after Cryoc lost the second game, I think, he also said something like, ugh, 1 misclick and you just lose the game as Terran or something. It was really funny. But he actually ended up winning that, although then he got to face Bonneth in the finals, and he lost 0-2 or something, but you know, it's Bonneth. Oh, this Overlord, though! Kicks the Overlord!
Oh no, bit of a mistake there, but it will be fine, I think. Should be able to get over the cliff, and it's going to be very difficult for the Marines to get back there to kill it. Although somehow he still has vision of it. There we go, finally losing vision there. And that Overlord will be able to scuttle off to above the bones in the background. He has seen the command center going up, so that's going to be a good scalp for him.
Eat it, Bill. And, well, I don't think too crazy, though, from Richley either. So, just going to be seeing normal stuff. No crazy double Evo builds, like we saw from, was it La Poca or something like that? I forgot his name already.
Lapata? Or Lapata? LOP-ATA. I don't want to say it incorrectly, this is bad.
Oh no. Alright. Looks like people in chat are saying that Richley's MMR is about 2700, so this should be a pretty high level match if that is true. Cryoc presumably is pretty close to that. Maybe not quite 2700. I'm not really sure. Most of the top foreigners are, around that level. And is the guy gonna run away? We have the first Marine group out there. The first 6 vanilla Marines. There are 6 Zerglings on the field. Actually, only 5 here because one of them's chasing the SCV. And look at this. No sunken in place here, but more links being made. I think Cryoc is just going to lose these Marines and not do any damage. I don't know about this. He can maybe kill a few of these drones. Where are the links? Links actually come too slow here. I think he should just focus down these drones. No, he's not going to. Oh, man.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to cut down the link count, but to be honest, maybe if he would have focused the drones, he would have done a little bit of extra damage. But of course, those links that he has killed were possible drones, using those lava for the links instead, and that's going to delay any possible counter pressure to hit Cryoc as well. So not necessarily the worst choice. If he'd have microed that a little bit better, he might have been able to get the links and drones though. That's the difference between the very, very top players and the sort of mid to top players, I would say.
Wait, isn't Cryoc just gonna die now, though? He's got only 3 Marines, only 1 barracks finished, and no bunker, no depot block. Like, these links have speed. He can just run in and kill him right now. Cryoc is just completely dead if Richley goes for... Oh, God. Oh, God. Rip Cryoc. GGO. Oh, no. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why that vanilla Marine attack right there is a hugely... It's basically, it's a high-risk, potentially high-reward move. But I don't know. That's well, that's how it is. That's the way the cookie crumbles, guys. But it is a best of 3, so we're going on to game 2.
We are indeed, and the second game should be, in fact, on Icarus. So a second game on Icarus today. Pretty cool. I didn't think we'd see this as much because I know you said it's sort of more standard than some of them, but I would say this is probably one of the least standard maps in the pool today.
Wait, what? Icarus? What? Icarus is super standard.
I don't know, it's the way the 4th base is a lot harder to take on this. I guess it's kind of a little bit like Fighting Spirit, but even getting the 3rd is quite difficult. You have to move right the way out to try and defend it.
Yeah, but it's like... I mean, it's a little bit farther, but it's just, 4 side bases, a 3rd base on the top of a ramp. I mean... I'm trying to think of I mean, it's not even. It's. I think it's standard.
I guess it's standard enough. Yeah, looks like we may have a little bit of lag this time, but should be okay, hopefully. I know there was a little weird disconnect at the start of the previous game. And talking at the start of the game, at the top 12 o'clock position, we do have the Teal Terran again, iFU.Cryoc.
Bottom as the red Zerg. We will have Richley RRF up 1-0 in this series, coming into game 2 on Icarus. And, I was actually a little bit surprised that you put this in the map pool, because, even for my Fighting Spirit taste, Icarus is kind of a boring map. So I was like, huh, that's it's an interesting choice there. But I like it. I like it. Boring maps are great.
I actually do like this map, I'm not gonna lie. The thing is, you say it's standard, but there's a lot of air distance around the mains and everything, so you can do some crazy drops and things like that. Like, this map does look standard when you look at the ground, but I've played a lot of games on this, and it never plays out standard, at least not the way you'd want it to.
Wait, but this is like just Fighting Spirit with a slightly harder to take 3rd base. Like, everything else is the same.
I don't know, there's no double expansion in the middle, so nothing crazy like that. And
yeah,
also,
but that's irrelevant on Fighting Spirit for most games, though.
Also, a lot of the middle of the map is actually unbuildable as well, which changes a lot of things for Terran.
I will never understand you, Kix. One of these days, maybe, but not today.
I have an eccentric map taste. Like, I don't like Fighting Spirit, but I like the Fighting Spirit derivatives. Just the way it goes, You never know, one day the Fighting Spirit may actually come back in the Clash of Charm map pool, and you may just sort of die of anaphylactic shock or whatever the word is.
Dude, I think, you know what? I think you're just like a map hipster, and the only way you're gonna put Fighting Spirit in is if for some reason people stop playing it, and then like in 5 years' time you're gonna be like, oh, look at this map, Fighting Spirit, and you're gonna pretend like, it's such a cool map and everything, but you're just a hipster, Kix.
Oh
you
no,
just don't like popular maps.
my secret has been thrown out. The thing is, I did put Fighting Spirit in the first week, so it's not like it's not been in the Clash for Char. I'm not beyond putting it in the map pool, but I've slowly got to the point where I've actually run out of maps that are sort of relatively modern, like modern enough like after 2008 or 2008 onwards, and I kind of don't want to cycle the same ones over and over, so I'm trying to mix it up a little bit more now, if I can. I think we've actually had pretty much every MSL map that's been in a MSL tournament after the year 2008 in the pool now. This MSL, like unlike the OSL, the MSL had a lot of repeat maps all of the time. Like I think Dante's Peak was in about 3 MSLs for instance. Kind of crazy.
I actually like Dante's Peak though. I think Dante's Peak was a pretty good map.
It is, apart from the Ramp Vortex. I can't remember if they fixed that in SE or not, but we didn't see it when we were casting games on it, so hopefully that should come back at some point as well.
But would you say Dante's Peak is like a standard boring map, or is it actually more interesting? Because I feel like it was more interesting because they had some ridges, but they weren't like too severe like on Sniper Ridge, and it had like a lot of bases too. There was a lot of money on that map, so it was really good for long macro games.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's not standard. I mean, one of the major ways you can say it's not standard is by looking at the statistics and the Zerg win rate on that map. It's kind of crazy. It's like the 3rd and 4th bases for Zerg are a lot easier to take, especially against Terran and Protoss. ZVZ, of course, doesn't come into it as much, but there were so many ZVZs on that map, and of course, it did lead to, or it was one of the maps that led to the infamous Zerg MSL, where I think pretty much 80% of the top 8 were all Zerg, and the top 4 were all Zerg, so pretty crazy. It looks like Richley being a little bit over-aggressive, well I say aggressive, but overly avert with his Overlord, nearly losing his Overlord again.
Oh man, he's just baiting the Terran. He did the same thing last game. He's just kind of taunting him like, ha, you can take a bunch of damage, but you're not Protoss and you don't get a Corsair, you're never actually going to kill this Overlord. Like that's kind of a tilter, right? To get so close and not actually kill it. Of course, the real reason is probably just that, I don't know, misclick or something. I don't know exactly where to put it. But yeah, getting a good amount of damage. Now he has gone for a 2-hatch opening. This is the 2-hatch Muta, and he built the 3rd hatch in his main after getting the Spire, or maybe about the same time actually. It's a really interesting thing to me. Normally, this 3rd hatch, you can actually put it at a 3rd base if you're going 2-hatch Muta.
Yeah, this is quite interesting to me as well. I think he actually put the Spire down first, so bit of a weird timing from Richley will be coming up here. It will give him the third hatch production a little bit quicker, but it does also mean he gets the Lings at 2-hatch Muta timing, so kind of interested how this is actually going to play out. Looks like this time Cryoc's actually going into 2-Rax Academy first, rather than going for the more common these days +1 5-Rax, so
I mean, he scouted the 2-hatch lair, and if you scout 2-hatch lair, you're I think supposed to go 2-Rax Academy and not +1, because otherwise you can just die to stuff, you don't have enough Marine. So I think Cryoc is doing things correctly here, and should be able to hold off these mutas when they get in, especially since he's just gonna see stuff with this SCV. But yeah, I'm really surprised about this 3rd hatch replacement, but I guess we'll see how he plays it out. I mean, I shouldn't question him too much. Richley did win the first game quite easily there, although I think that was more Cryoc taking the high-risk play and getting completely smacked in the face with it.
Yeah, that was a bit unfortunate for Cryoc. He did try something very risky. It looks like Cryoc isn't opting to get his +1 as soon as the engineering bay finishes either. We do have Lings sort of moving out on the map, trying to see if they can get any damage done whatsoever, but they will be forced to just stay back because of the bunker, and we now have the Muteless on the way.
Indeed we do. We've got Overlords also moving to the corners just to use those to actually stack the Muta more easily. And, well, here we go. Let's see how good the defense is. The turrets are coming up now just in time for the defense. 1 turret in the back of the main. I'm surprised he actually hasn't built 2 at the back of the main. He's got the main Marine group kind of in between the main and the natural, perfectly predicting where Richley would poke in first. 3 turrets going to be constructed at the natural expansion here. Should provide some good protection there. And actually, the Muta's getting caught a little bit between the Marines and the turrets.
And the bunker as well. Pretty good placement of everything there by Cryoc, so quite impressed there. Well, one thing to point out is look at Richley's vision. He sees absolutely everything right now. Kind of crazy.
Yep.
He's got Lings, Overlords, and Mutas, of course, flying around absolutely everywhere. And Cryoc is not going to be able to get any drops out if that's what he wants to do. But we now see the factory coming up, so we will see 2 racks into Vessel, it does look like.
Meanwhile, in Richley's base, he's got his Hydroden going, he's got his Hive going, so he's going for the standard transitions. I really would expect to see a drone heading out to take a 3rd gas pretty soon. Going up to that Hive level without the 3rd gas is a little bit painful. Meanwhile, do we have range? Yeah, it looks like range has finally finished for Cryoc. So his Marines are going to be much more effective now against the continued Muta harassment here from Richley. And we'll see how this plays out. It's like going to grab a few more units here. He hasn't done like tremendous damage, and I feel like when you go 2-hatch Muta, you're supposed to do a little bit more damage than this.
I guess the thing is though, he's not taking it all in. When you look at his drone count's actually pretty high at his natural and his main. I think he's fully saturated on both of those bases, so it's not like this is a crazy 2-hatch all-in where you kind of have to do either critical damage while you try and take a 3rd. Now we do see, as I say that, the 3rd coming up at the 9 o'clock position. Cryoc is going for some scans, but it looks like he scans the main and the 3rd hatchery just to see exactly what tech is coming on, and we do see that Hive on the way.
Yep, he gets a pretty good idea of stuff. Richley taking this left side. I like the fact that Richley has taken the left side 3rd, not the right side 3rd, because this obviously is slightly closer by air to the Terran, slightly easier to get those dropships in there. Whereas this base is a little bit further away, and yeah, this should mean that 3rd gas going exactly as I said, and Cryoc should be moving out relatively soon, right? Or do you think he's going to wait for a vessel here because he's afraid of stop lurkers?
He's going to have to wait, I think, before he moves out. He's actually not building constantly on his barracks, so he needs to make sure he does that. Science facility is coming out. It looks like, forgiving that, he's actually scanned ahead. He knows there's no lurkers, so he's actually going to move out right this second. He needs to make sure he doesn't lose the tank though to these Mutalisks.
Yep. And well, the Mutas, they don't really want to fight this giant block of Marines though, so should be fine. I'm just trying to keep a tab on whether the +1 is finished yet for these Marines. We can see the left side base has finished. I heard another scan going down. Let me see where it was. Looks like it's actually just ahead to check for oops. Oh my god, I keep clicking the wrong vision and turning off everybody's vision.
Yeah,
but
I did that
yesterday.
Ahead. Yeah, he's checking ahead for stop lurkers. He cannot be sure if the lurkers are done yet. Now, he's going to try and move over to this 3rd base, I think, eventually. He's going to at least scout it. It looks like we see another scan in front of him. He's using so many scans just to check he can move across the map, and the trouble is, that means he's not going to have any scans when he actually gets to the Zerg's main. We see 1 scan left in his main, 1 at the natural as well, but he's still scanning ahead of his army.
Yep, playing it super safe. Does not want to lose in a dumb fashion. I mean, to be fair, the way he lost last game was pretty feels bad, man. So just wants to make sure he doesn't get eliminated by a fancy stop lurker. But there is the scan, seeing the 4 lurkers there, another lurker on the way. He's going to use a siege tank to try and slowly push this down. But he's got to be careful. Oh man, he actually scans. He's running in here. I don't think that's a good idea. What the heck? Cryoc is committing to this. How could that possibly have worked against 4 completed lurkers?
Especially when he only has +1 attack. Maybe if he'd had armor, that could have worked, but he's lost all of his bio now. Pretty much the medics and a few straggling Marines are going to be moving back, and it looks like the first vessel, only now just with enough energy for radiate. No, he shot his vessel by accident with his Marines. That was pretty bad. Luckily enough, he didn't kill it. That could have been completely awful for him.
Whoops, daisies.
+1 attack is finished, but no +1 armor on the way just yet. Kind of interesting given the fact he does have the 4 rack still pumping Medic Marine, but it looks like he is going into mech upgrades.
You know what's also interesting is that actually, if Cryoc had waited for a vessel, he could have sieged on the low ground outside the main and killed the 3rd hatchery and the Hydroden from the low ground, because they're placed kind of awkwardly on the side of the base there. But obviously, that's not what's happened. Now, Cryoc's sending a big force coming down again, but you know the supplies are quite close for TVZ. The Defiler is already out, getting those Dark Swarms down, having the consume. So this is a pretty awful spot for Cryoc, and now more Dark Swarms coming out. The Lurkers coming out, gaining some space. The Marines actually walking down to the bottom left. They're going to be stuck here now. These Marines can't leave anymore, but a second group of Marines actually running down into the natural, but there are enough units here to deal with this.
Yeah, the trouble is the Marines over on the left side don't have a single medic with them, I don't believe, when I checked, so they're going to be completely vulnerable. All the medics are going to go down to these Lings. Looks like another scan did go down to check that bottom left base, but there's not going to be anything there.
What the heck is going on here with Cryoc? Meanwhile, his gas mining at the natural is also a little bit bugged out. The SCV is going around the bottom side of the gas, kind of switching out. Looks like, meanwhile, the first vessel at the bottom left is going to get taken out by Mutas. It will get sniped by the Mutas without a Scourge. I saw a dropship out as well, but it hasn't moved out. Okay, he's now going to load it up. He's going to have to do some crazy drop action in order to come back in this game. But Richley has a solid lock, I think. Especially now getting his 4th base. Although the Marines are coming up here, where is the Defiler? He needs the Defiler over here.
He needs to be careful though, there's actually 3 Lurkers stacked there, so if he does try and break up with just the Marines, there's no medics over here actually. Once again, Cryoc moving out with any medics, playing the vanilla StarCraft build where you basically kill all of your units while you stim and don't repair, but we see a lovely swarm there. Will push Cryoc further and further back, and this 4th base will be fine to go up now for our Zerg player. Looks like
a drop in the main. You have a drop in the main kicks. It looks like 6 Marines get out. The drop
back. Though.
Get a few drones. They actually will get the spy here. Nice pick off by Cryoc. So he's at least making some good moves here in the game. Gonna run away from the Lurker lane, but again, no medic can heal up these Marines, so they will get cleaned up by the Zerglings. But all in all, I think that's probably worth it for that one dropship. He's got actually a lot of siege tanks at his natural. He's poking around now. Oh, big plague at the left side though, massive plague.
Yeah, I noticed the vision of Richley actually went over to that area while he was defending. He moved his Lings and Lurkers back to deal with the drop, and then just went and plagued the Marines. Actually baited a few of them into Lurkers, I believe, and it looks like the surround is coming up for Richley now. He's going to come in from all angles to see if he can deal with this, but there's actually quite a lot of units here for Cryoc.
Oh, but there's the Dark Swarm. It doesn't matter how many units you have if the Dark Swarm is protecting Zerg units. But it looks like there's no units on the other side. A few Lurkers just kind of holding the line there, but the Siege Tanks will be able to push them out if there is no Dark Swarm. Where is the Dark Swarm on this side? He's pulling his Lurkers back here. The Defiler's actually on the other side. There's the Defiler. There's the Irradiator. He actually doesn't have anything to eat. He needs to eat something right now. He's so hungry. This Defiler is really hungry. There's nothing to eat. Oh man, the Defiler's actually going to die without getting the Dark Swarm off. And this could be what Cryoc needs to actually kill this base. A small mistake there from Richley, potentially costing him. But the second Defiler comes out, the Lurker does push the Medic Marine away. And it looks like a 3rd command center for Cryoc has lifted and floated over to that top left base. And if he can get that mining, we will have a much closer game on our hands.
Yeah, now the one problem that Cryoc actually had is during that engagement, he tried to send his reinforcements in, but there's actually 3 Lurkers actually sat behind his army, and they skewered absolutely everything. So Cryoc's army, a lot smaller it could be. He did just lose a vessel, I heard that die.
Yep.
And he needs to make sure he's just trying to siege on this ramp to stop these swarms.
Oh man, it's super painful. Looks like the small Medic Marine group outside the Zerg Natural though is doing a little bit of work for him. It looks like he's actually built a 4th command center in his main. He's lifting it towards the top right base. The top left base is now established, but has not yet transferred SCVs there, despite he's holding the position that he needs to actually defend that base. If he can transfer SCVs right now, I guess he just hasn't thought of it just yet. In the meantime, it looks like Richley going to move forward and pick off these 2 siege tanks that are causing him grief. It looks like Cryoc actually running forward though. Instead of running away, he runs forward, and this could potentially actually let him kill this hatchery, although I'm not really sure. The Zerglings move again. It's gonna be close, but no, it looks like GG from Cryoc. And Richley with the 2-0 victory over Cryoc.
Yeah, Richley played that very well, and the thing is, Cryoc made a few fatal errors in that game, which did cost him in the long term, losing a few too many units to the Lurker Spines. And when that happens, unfortunately, there's not too much you can do. He was also up against 2-1 upgrades on the Lings when he only had 2 attack. He didn't get any armor upgrades, so of course the Lurker Spines are even more powerful.
Oh man, I just realized actually though, DeWalt is on the other side.